Hello and welcome to another episode of SoSouth Interviews. I am Sanjay Ponnappa, and today I have with me a professional cyclist all the way from USA. He's had a very interesting journey. It's a mix of struggles, it's a mix of achievements.
Oh yeah.
I have with me Mr. Logan Phippen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, and my first question to you is, how do you like Bangalore?
Bangalore, so far from what I've seen, I love it.
Yeah, what have you seen? What do you like most about it?
I can tell you the first thing that I like is chai. The chai here is actually really good.
But is this the first time you're in India?
No, I was here about 9 years ago up in Rishikesh, just doing yoga.
Just for yoga?
Just for yoga, just for sadhana.
A little bit of a suggestion, if you really like yoga that much, there is Mysore in South India as well, which is also known for yoga.
Yes.
So if you have the time, you can check it out maybe.
I'll have to. I think, wasn't it Ikasa Iyengar?
Yeah. Logan, why do you love cycling so much? What is so good about cycling for you?
Well, I think for me it was like a mythological thing of seeing men conquer these mountains and landscapes, which normally people wouldn't really go. And there's a thing like we talked earlier about being a child and being on a bike and experiencing that freedom, which to me, it feels that way every time you get on the bike. You know, you take some pedal strokes, you're out your door, you're down your street, and next thing you know, you're in the country. And you have the freedom to explore and actually just feel more of nature.
You never thought about going towards a motor?
No, I left that for my little brother.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you've never really rode a bike?
Like a motorcycle?
Yes.
No. Why
Why not?
I stopped at bicycles. I don't really know why not. I like cars and I like driving.
Okay.
But a motorcycle, I just never got there.
Your journey towards becoming a professional in something that you love.
Yeah.
How did it start?
It started when I was young, like a 8-9-year-old boy, and I discovered cycling, and I just fell in love with it, and I just wanted to do that. It unlocked a whole new potential for life for me, the way to live life.
Well, that sounds like a very great segue for us to talk a little bit more about it. Yeah. Let's stop somewhere, let's sit down and talk a little more about this journey towards life that you just told me about.
Let's do it.
Well, Logan, before we get into the life talks that we spoke about, tell me this, if you were to introduce yourself, how would you introduce?
I would say, hey, this is Logan. He's a pretty nice guy. He loves cycling.
Okay.
He's ambitious, kind-hearted.
And what are these ambitions? Like, what has been your best race till date, and what more do you want from you?
From racing, I get the satisfaction of racing in big races. I raced my last race just last Thursday in Belgium, and that was a great race. It helped my teammates into a top 20. And then for life, I find myself in this course of pursuing cycling, which is a bit of a selfish endeavor. It's just, for me and my own enjoyment and working in a team and helping my teammates. But now it's kind of layered into also inspiring people around the world who are living with diabetes. Yeah. And so now I find the motivation and enjoyment in being able to spread that message of inspiration and hope for people around the world.
Since we segue towards diabetes, where we were going, tell me, what was your mindset like when you got diagnosed and you saw that? And were you into cycling professionally even before that, or was that a step that you took later? What is the story?
Yeah. The story it's a pretty good story. Yeah. And I guess in my introduction, I'd say he's a great storyteller. So I was racing, not professionally, but at what we call in the US a domestic elite level, when I was in my late teens and early 20s up until I was 21. And then I broke my back in a crash and the Tour of the Gila. And I stopped racing. And during that time, I had just started doing yoga. Okay. And, of course, some hatha yoga, but mostly meditation. And the dharanas, concentrations. And I still had all the intensity from when I was training and racing before, and all of that intensity just channeled straight into the yogas.
Okay.
And so it was just discipline, another form of discipline. But for me, like, I couldn't get what I wanted out of it being in the US, because at a certain point, you know, there's nobody who can really initiate you into the deeper practices. And so I came to India and spent some time up in Swargashram in Rishikesh, and worked one-on-one with a master who could teach. And after that time, right around the time I was coming home, is when I first started to get my first symptoms of diabetes.
Okay.
And it was shocking to me, because I had spent so much time, you know, developing the differentiations between Purusha, Prakriti, Shiva, Shakti. And I remember my teacher telling me, it's like, you know, between Shiva and Shakti, there's no beginning, there's no end between those two interacting. And now the body was suffering immensely after spending so much time up on the Purusha cloud. And it became time to pay attention. And when I came back, my body started to deteriorate. I was getting really sick. I was losing a lot of weight.
Okay.
And still practicing a lot the sadhana, but my body was failing. And so I had to have a moment of saying, okay, I've spent, and this was part of what I was just experiencing, was that, okay, I've spent so much time practicing towards Shiva, but I've neglected the Shakti aspect. And now it's time to really pay attention. And that's when I was diagnosed. Like, I was diagnosed easy.
Around 24, you were diagnosed?
Yes, a week after my 24th birthday.
Wow.
It was about this time, by 6 years ago. No, more than that. 8 years ago.
Time flies.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. And so I was there in the hospital, and I had kind of felt like and known that the body without medication and management can no longer sustain itself. And so as long as I'm going to be on medication and take the insulin and manage the condition of diabetes, I'm going to just pursue what the body wants and, you know, really give life to what moves this body and see what it wants to do.
And this is when you decided to join the team, Nova Nordisk?
Yes, because when I was racing before,
Okay.
I remember racing against Team Nova Nordisk. They were at the Joe Martin stage race, which is a big US stage race in Arkansas. And I remember being behind one of the riders in the group of riders and seeing his glucose monitor and his insulin pump and thinking, I wonder what that must be like, having to ride with diabetes and also compete at such a high level. And so it was when I was in the hospital that I remembered, Team Nova Nordisk. I bet there's a place in life for that. And so at the time, I wasn't road racing like I was before. I was on the mountain bike.
Okay.
I was coaching high school kids on the mountain bike and really spending a lot of time with that. So I applied to race mountain bikes for them. So I filled out my CV, sent it to them, and they said, well, how would you feel about racing road bikes full time? And I was like, wow, yeah, okay, that sounds great. And also, like, in the US, it's so difficult to race bicycles because cycling is so expensive. It's difficult to get to races. And, you know, I know that it comes with a lot of sacrifice. And so to have the opportunity to step into that again was something that I just couldn't say no to.
Another question, when I started reading up about you and watching your videos and all of it, I always got this question that does Logan have to walk an extra mile to actually compete with all the other athletes who aren't diabetic? Is that something that has to happen? Do you have to put in more hard work to get that done, get there?
Well, there are challenges. And the biggest challenge is really just keeping stable glucose.
Okay.
But for us as athletes, whether I have type 1 diabetes or I don't, I mean, for me, I remember what it was like being an athlete without type 1 diabetes and now being an athlete with type 1 diabetes. And we still have to focus on the same things, which are nutrition and recovery and training. And so when it comes to like our workload, we have to do this just the same amount of work. We have to eat the same amount of carbs and calories. I mean, for me, when my nutritionist going into a race says you need to have 120 grams of carb per hour, I know that's the same, or going to be the same or close to the same for every other athlete. I mean, of course, every other athlete's carb intake is tailored to them and their bodies, but you have to take in 120 grams of carbs whether I have diabetes or not. And so those are like the constants.
What would your message be to people who are diabetic, and how would you inspire them to run towards fitness, because that is probably the right way to go? And how important is fitness when you are actually diabetic?
Well, it's a great question. And first of all, the people who do have diabetes, I want to say just don't give up and continue to believe in yourself and to continue making small steps every day to help build a light in your life to live towards. And the thing is that yes, you can have a chronic condition or not, but I think that to some degree everybody has a struggle, a personal struggle, and that you still have to be motivated for, and that you have to find inspiration in life for to live and work through. And for us with diabetes, it's important to have examples that you can work and live towards.
Well, I really hope that after listening to your story, many other people who are probably in a similar situation get inspiration from it, look towards fitness more, and
Yeah.
take care of themselves,
Yeah.
because that comes first before everything else.
And the fitness, like you were asking, the fitness is such a huge component because when you have a more active lifestyle, the body becomes more sensitive to insulin, meaning
Right.
that you can use less insulin. Of course, you have to work these things out with your doctor, your endocrinologist, but being more active in your daily life, it's not saying go out and be a professional athlete, but if you can walk to the store, walk to your friend's house, ride your bike to work, things like that to get the body moving, it makes a huge difference and it makes the management much easier.
Well, with that, that's the closing to this very interesting conversation. I really love talking to you, and I hope you continue to accomplish more things and also inspire more people with your journey.
Yes.
Thank you so
That's the
much for
goal.
being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I am with John Dauber, the Corporate Vice President and Managing Director of GBS of Novo Nordisk. Well, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
First of all, what does Novo Nordisk actually do?
So Novo Nordisk is a Danish headquartered global pharmaceutical company. So we're present in almost every country in the world. We employ somewhere close to 60,000 people,
Okay.
and we research, develop, manufacture, and then market medicines all over the world. We're 100 years old,
Oh,
and
wow.
we're specialists in diabetes.
I heard about this initiative that's being applied in your Bangalore's office, that all you encourage your employees to come right to the office on the bikes. What
Yeah.
is this whole initiative about? How does it help the employees? Why is it important?
No, thank you. Yeah, in our office here in Bangalore, in Global Business Services, we have around 4,000 employees, and they cover the entire value stream of a pharmaceutical company, from research right the way through to marketing and finance and IT. But we spend a lot of time sat down, and as a healthcare company, we really want to encourage people to live a little bit more of an active life.
Okay.
And when we realized we had many of our employees within a 5 or 10 kilometer radius of our office, we said to them, hey, rather than getting in the car every morning, let's see if we can ride to work. And we started an initiative in a collaboration actually with the bicycling mayor here in Bangalore,
Okay.
to inspire people to say, let's get on our bikes, let's cycle the 5K. We put some showers in the office, we put some nice changing rooms and a gym, and really to encourage people to take care of themselves.
And this whole initiative of Team Nova Nordisk, where all these type 1 diabetic patients actually turn towards athletics. What is this about, and how many people has this helped, and It is definitely inspiring many other people to see such athletes grow. So, how many athletes has it actually helped?
Golly, well, I was very lucky that when we took on the sponsorship of this cycling team and Team Nova Nordisk was born, I was working in our headquarters in Denmark at the time. And we realized that the awareness of type 1 diabetes in almost every country in the world is very low. And that because of the diagnosis being mostly in kids, it destroys families because parents don't know what to do, their dreams of the kids are shattered.
Right.
And we realized that if people have access to the right medicines, the right kind of care, and the right kind of insulin, they can actually achieve anything they want to achieve. So the sponsorship of this cycling team gave us the opportunity to educate, to empower, and to inspire.
But why choose cycling precisely? How does cycling help diabetes?
So I think any activity where we move our body improves our general health. And cycling is something that we can all do. At least we can teach ourselves to ride a bike.
Right.
It's pretty accessible to everybody. It's low impact on the joints.
Right.
And it tends to put a smile on your face.
Sure.
And so I think it resonates a little bit that any kid loves to get on a bike, and if they have type 1 diabetes, they can also get good at this kind of stuff. So we've used cycling, and Team Nova Nordisk have used cycling to really inspire millions of people. It could have been any sport. And certainly there are plenty of people with type 1 diabetes who are runners, rowers, swimmers, athletes, cricketers,
right.
athletes of every sort.
You said you've been in Bangalore for about a year now, more than a year. Do you think Bangalore is a city that can adapt and accept cycling as one of its go-to exercise? Bangaloreans can actually do that given the whole traffic situation and all of it.
That's a really interesting question, and we were having this discussion with the cycling mayor of Bangalore and also one of the local government folks, and they were saying, the thing is, and it's true of many cities, that the local infrastructure will be built around the demand of the people.
Right.
So if we all start to get on our bikes and start to use the cycling lanes, more cycling lanes will come, and then more, and then more. If we don't, then the cycling lanes become car parks. And so, I do believe that any city can really embrace cycling. Our company's home country, Denmark, in Copenhagen, there are more bikes than there are cars, because the infrastructure has gradually built over 20 or 30 years. The same can happen in Bangalore. Yeah. We have a very nice climate, and we can do it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. It was great talking to you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.